Blessings and welcome, everyone. It's time for another 24-hour daily tarot card draw and lunar astrology check. And we are looking at the 24 hours of the 26th through the 27th of August, or the 27th through the 28th of August, depending on where you live in the world. Our card of the day is the High Priestess upright. And for the vast majority of this 24-hour period, we still have the moon in Aries up until the very last 2 hours when it moves on into Taurus. We have the moon square to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, and we have the moon sextile to Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius as well. I've titled the passage I wrote, Realized Revelations, and here's why. Today's energies bring a strong push to the actualization of revelations, visions, and predictions from the recent and less recent past. So things that we were told were going to happen, things that were always in the works, but now, we're kind of really starting to see, okay, those teases make good on themselves. The High Priestess presents truths beyond veils, showing where and how many circumstances once held back or delayed are being realized in this now and in the near future. So it's not just for today. This is especially true in situations where developments have been occurring behind the scenes and in situations where outcomes were either withheld or suspended for any reason, beneficial or no. Sometimes these things are held back as a grace. It could be that such delays or suspensions were held up due to the nature of the environment, yes, needing to be more prepared, as I just mentioned, or that these shifts were always occurring, but those involved were perhaps a bit too simplistic or adolescent in their assessment of the circumstances. Okay, so we are approaching outcomes that maybe were always in the works, but to be too simplistic or adolescent in an assessment of the circumstances is to only look at things on an outcome-to-outcome basis. And, we all have friends like that, where it can sometimes be a person is not thinking about the actual cycle of life that is going on with an experience or with a project, or with a job, or with a creation or an aspiration, and they're only thinking outcome, outcome, outcome. And one of the things that, I learned to do, over the last 20 years of my process, is to ask when certain things got underway, as opposed to maybe focusing on what the outcome was. If somebody was giving me the result of a conversation or an interview, or they were telling me when something was, maybe a decision was rendered, I always ask, when did you decide that? When did you come up with that? Because then I could always go back and look, oh, hey, yeah, I got a revelation about this in a meditation on that day, or I saw this in the astrology that day, or this is the card I pulled for that day. So I was seeing what was going on. It just wasn't, in my face. And that can be seen in all kinds of divinatory arts, right? In astrology, it's pretty well known that it's easier to predict when a person will get pregnant as opposed to when they will actually give birth to the child, for example. The High Priestess is the balance between the exact and the abstract, the exoteric and the esoteric. The moon square Pluto retrograde is bringing a revival and renewal experience of situations that may still yet serve, albeit in a somewhat inconvenient or unfamiliar way. It is important to remember that as these transitions occur, we need to make sure we are available to work with what we have either forgotten to pay attention to or neglected to consider while maybe being preoccupied with other concerns. Is there something that we left on the back burner? Is there something that was always occurring, but we did not do our due diligence and follow up and stay involved? Well, a lot of that stuff's coming back for us to, consider and get to work on in a good way. The Jupiter retrograde sextile is also moving us towards outcomes finally manifesting, gratification that had been delayed or deferred. There may be surprises throughout this coming 48 hours, not just 24, 48 hours in situations where we had thought something that did not come about as expected actually manifests after all, but in a different way. It may also be the case that things that we, others, or all involved failed to understand or give proportionate value to go through tremendous alterations. A pleasant, surprising treasure hidden in plain sight may finally be seen and appreciated. So that is what I've got for you all. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Y'all know I appreciate it. And should you ever want to get a session with me, go on ahead and go to my website, integrativemysticism.com. And remember, let me know in the comments below, do you prefer me posting these a little bit earlier, or do you prefer me posting these on the day in question? I'd like to know. Take care.